Hi, this is Kirk, and I really want to thank you for taking the pre-assessment quiz. I know it was a lot of fun for you, and we're going to ask you to take it again in about 8 weeks or so towards the end of the class, just to see what if you've improved, hopefully, or not by the end of the class. And like I said, you're not being graded for how you do on the quiz. It's just totally for assessment purposes on our part. You just get points for taking the quiz itself, and we really appreciate it. So I'm just going to go through the answers really fast. Number one, the question is, quotation marks are not needed when you quote just one sentence of a source as long as you cite the author's name at the end of the paragraph. This is a citing question, has to do with plagiarism and all that fun stuff. And yes, along with the author's name at the end of the quote, you do need quotation marks as well. And we'll talk about that in the class, and the book talks about it quite a bit as well. So that would be a false. Number two, a book may have more than one Library of Congress subject heading assigned to it. This is true. We'll get into this, I think, this week or next week when we talk about books and subject headings. Subject headings are great because they're assigned to books and articles, and they can be very helpful in helping you find additional books on the same subject. So we'll talk some about Library of Congress subject headings, but some books can have as many as 5 or 6 or even more subject headings assigned to it. Number three, Boolean searching is something we'll get into when we start searching, especially in the database searching for articles. So the third question, the Boolean search term "or" is generally used to either narrow or expand. For example, college or university. That's used to expand your search. So in this case, when you search for college or university, you will get articles or books on either of those topics. So you can see you might use, like another example would be tennis shoes or athletic footwear to find articles or books on those two subjects. So "or" would be used to expand your search. Number four, please select a Boolean search command that will allow you to narrow your search. Kind of a trick question. Between is not a Boolean search term. So the two search terms to use to narrow your search would be "not." So if you said University not Portland, that would exclude all the articles about universities that also contain Portland. So when you say "not," that would help narrow your search. These will, like I said, these will make more sense when we start searching in the databases. The last one of these types of questions, the Boolean search term "and" is used to also narrow your search. In this case, if your search terms were Portland and universities, it would only find articles that have both of those search terms. So "and" is used to narrow your search. Number six, the content of an editorial in a newspaper tends to be either subjective or objective. In this case, the answer is subjective. An easy way to remember this is it's subject to somebody's opinion. And we have a handout that talks about subjective and objective types of information. Number seven, RoughWorks and similar online tools keep your sources organized and create errorless APA and MLA citations. This is false. RoughWorks will introduce you to this pretty quickly. It's a great source for keeping your resources organized, and it does create a pretty good bibliography for you. Puts all your sources in MLA or APA citations, but it doesn't do a perfect job, so it'll save you a lot of time, but you still want to go through and proofread all your citations before you turn them in. We'll talk about this a lot more. So that's a false. Number eight, often a database such as Academic Search Complete will produce a citation that contains a brief summary of the article. This is called the abstract. And this is great. When we get into the databases in a couple of weeks and you start looking for articles, some of the articles you read are going to be not huge, very long, very detailed. And before you read the full article, read the abstract. It's a great summary of the article. It'll give you a pretty good idea whether or not you want to invest the time into reading the full article. So abstracts are very helpful. Number 9, the New York Times and Psychology Today are examples of scholarly sources. False. They're both good sources, but they're general sources, and we have some good handouts that talk about what's a scholarly source as opposed to what's a general source. Number 10, what is meant by the phrase full text when searching a periodical database? It's when the entire article is available online. It's very cool when that happens. When we get to the databases, we'll also show you that you don't want to limit your search to just the full text articles, because if an article is not full text, we can still get the full article for you pretty quickly through Interlibrary Loan. And we'll email it right to you, and it's free and all that good stuff. So unless you need something that night pretty much, then you can limit your search to full text. This will make a lot more sense to you too when you start searching the databases. Number 11, a primary source is an original document such as a diary, letter, or medical study. And like I said, we have a pretty good handout on types of information, and this talks about that as well. But we'll talk about primary sources and secondary sources. Number 12, which of the following statements is true about Wikipedia? This is kind of a goofy question, and in the old days when Wikipedia first came out, librarians were very nervous about it. Now we accept that everybody's going to see it. Of course, you're going to look at it. We just don't want you to cite it in these papers. You might get some really good information out of it. Usually it's the best thing it's for is to find original sources from there. So if you do find a good Wikipedia article, look at the sources listed at the bottom. And number 13, so anyway, the answer for this one is the third one. On mine, it's the third one. Wikipedia can sometimes be a useful source for information, general information about a topic, but should not be cited in an academic paper. So that's the answer for that. And finally, the last one, number 13, a peer-reviewed article is an article that has been evaluated by other researchers in the same or related field for assessment of technical and scientific merit before being accepted for publication. So we'll talk about this more too when we get to the databases in a few weeks. Often a scholarly article is a peer-reviewed article. So anyway, those are the answers to these questions. Thanks a lot for humoring us by taking the quiz. Let me know if you have any questions about this or anything else about the class. Thanks a lot.